off, the Indiana Fever go into New York and walk out of New York with a W in hand. Things that I like.
The Indiana Fever just walked into one of the most hostile arenas in the WNBA, missing 4 key players, and walked out with an 8-point blowout win. But the scoreboard wasn't even the most talked about thing after the game. Caitlin Clark hit her first 2 shots, looked completely unstoppable, and then went ice cold for the rest of the night. And by the time she sat down on that bench, the images coming out of Barclays Center had every single Fever fan holding their breath. A visible back brace, 9 months of recovery, and a season that hasn't even officially started yet. There is a lot to unpack here, and most people are getting the story completely wrong. So let's break down exactly what happened, what it actually means, and why the rest of the league should still be absolutely terrified of this Indiana Fever team.
Taking it right to the post, boom, get off me, right over your head. That's how we started off the game, folks. That's how we started off the game. Love to see that. Then we follow up 5-0, I believe after a Sophie Cunningham 3.
9 months is a long time. Long enough to forget exactly how different a basketball court feels when Caitlin Clark is on it. Long enough for doubts to creep in, for narratives to shift, and for people to quietly wonder whether the version of Clark that took the WNBA by storm was fully coming back at all. Yesterday afternoon at the Barclays Center, those questions got an immediate and thunderous answer. The second her name hit the PA system, the entire building reacted, not politely, not with scattered applause. The crowd erupted in the kind of raw electric energy that you usually only see in playoff moments. And Clark didn't waste a single second of it. First possession of the game, she caught the ball, faced up against elite defensive pressure, and drove straight to the rim like she had never been away. Layup, good. Second possession, she manipulated the defense, created separation, pulled up from 30 feet out, and splashed a signature logo 3 without blinking. 5 points, 2 possessions. The New York Liberty, a loaded championship-caliber super team, looked completely caught off guard. For that brief electric opening stretch, every Fever fan watching at home felt exactly what they had been waiting 9 long months to feel again. The Queen was back. The throne was waiting. And then, just as quickly as that energy arrived, the shooting went cold. Clark missed her next 8 consecutive attempts. The celebration didn't stop, but the conversation around this game shifted in a hurry, and it wasn't finished shifting yet.
2. In case you guys didn't see it, Caitlin Clark walking around with a back brace. Now I know some people are saying, people in my chat were saying, shout out to everybody in the venue, salute to y'all. People were saying this is a biometric device. Looks like a back brace to me.
Before we get into everything that had people worried, let's establish something that is not getting nearly enough attention. The Indiana Fever just demolished the New York Liberty 109-91 on the road in Brooklyn against a roster featuring Breanna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, and Jonquel Jones. That is not a soft opponent. That is one of the most talented collections of WNBA players ever assembled on a single team. And the Fever did it while missing 4 rotation players. Aaliyah Boston, their foundational starting center, was held out entirely. Lexi Hull, one of their most reliable perimeter spacers, was sitting with a hamstring issue. Veteran backup point guard Tiasha Harris didn't play. Damiris Dantas was out as well. 4 contributors, gone, against a championship defense on the road. They won by 18 points. Let that sink in for a second, because the mainstream conversation around this game got so consumed by Clark's shooting line and the back brace situation that people completely glossed over how historically impressive that result actually was. Preseason or not, you do not walk into Barclays Center shorthanded and blow out the defending Eastern Conference champions by double digits unless something real is happening with your team. The depth held up. The system worked. The effort was undeniable. And this was only the first preseason game, with 5 days of practice behind them and 4 key players watching from the sideline. The full picture of what this team can be is still coming into focus, and it should terrify the rest of this league.
a lull in the offense. I believe sometime in the second quarter, we had like a very lull in our offense where the New York Liberty is kind of putting it on us, and we're sitting around asking ourselves, what's going on? Raven Johnson stepped up in that moment and said, damn, I guess I got to try to be as aggressive as I can. I guess I got to make things happen. She takes it coast to coast. She hits she hits Kelsey Mitchell, I believe, in the corner for 3.
2 for 10. That's the number that sent social media into a spiral, and on the surface, completely understandable. You wait 9 months for Clark to return. She lights up the first 2 possessions, and then the shot stops falling. It looks bad in the box score. The casual take writes itself. But the casual take is wrong. Start with the most obvious context. Clark had not played a real, physical WNBA game since July 15th of last year, 9 months away from this specific level of competition. FIBA basketball in March kept her sharp, but international competition is a different animal entirely. The size of the defenders is different. The trapping schemes are different. The sheer physicality of elite WNBA guards, pressing and bumping and crowding every single catch, is something you simply cannot replicate anywhere else. She walked back into that environment for the first time, without Aliyah Boston setting screens and without Lexi Hull spacing the floor, against the best defense in the Eastern Conference. The Liberty game planned specifically to make her uncomfortable, and even then, she kept hunting her shot. She didn't retreat, she didn't defer, she kept attacking. 7 points, 4 assists, 0 turnovers in under 17 minutes. The assists and the 0 turnover line matter. Her decision-making was clean. Her movement was sharp. The shooting touch was simply off. And that is what happens when an elite player shakes off 9 months of rust in a live game environment. It corrects itself with repetition. Every great scorer knows that.
At one point during the game, that's Justine Passot
points on the
hitting threes. At one point in the game, we have Sophie Cunningham and Raven Johnson going give and go action. Sophie Cunningham gets a steal. Boom, steal to Raven. Raven back to Sophie. Looked good to me. And then Sophie Cunningham in the second quarter hitting her 3rd.
This is the part of the game that changed everything. Somewhere during the game, cameras caught Caitlin Clark sitting on the Fever bench wearing what appeared to be a large, restrictive medical wrap around her lower back. The images spread across social media within minutes, and the reaction was immediate and overwhelming. Was she hurt again? Was this something new? Had 9 months of recovery not been enough? Was the season already in danger before it even officially started? Those questions are completely understandable. Last year was genuinely traumatic for this fanbase. Soft tissue injuries wiped out 31 games of what should have been a historic sophomore season. Fans have been conditioned to expect the worst at the first sign of anything unusual. That response comes from a real place. But here is what we actually know right now. The Indiana Fever front office has not released any specific medical update regarding a lower back issue. Clark herself did not directly address the brace in her post-game comments. And WNBA players routinely use compression wraps, heating pads, and structural support on the bench throughout the course of a normal game, sometimes for legitimate structural concerns, and sometimes simply for stiffness after sitting for an extended stretch. Stephanie White stated before tip-off that managing Clark's body carefully was the absolute top priority this preseason. It is entirely possible that the brace was part of that proactive, cautious approach rather than a response to something new. The next 48 hours of medical updates will tell us everything we need to know.
First quarter scored 32 points. Second quarter we dropped down to 21. Very interesting what was going on over there. All in all, can't take too much away from this game other than, personally, Raven and Justine Passot looking like they're rotation players in this league. I'm glad with what I saw from those two. Let me know your
For 2 straight weeks leading into this preseason opener, the conversation around the Fever's rookie point guard was loud, contentious, and often brutal. Questions about whether Raven Johnson was ready for this level. Doubts about whether the front office made the right call investing in an unproven rookie when veteran options were available. A genuine, heated debate that consumed comment sections and podcasts in equal measure. Then Johnson walked onto the floor at Barclays Center and quietly ended the entire argument. 3 for 3 from the field, 6 points, 3 rebounds, 8 assists, 0 turnovers, 2 blocks, 1 steal, plus 14 inches, the plus-minus column, in 17 minutes against the defending Eastern Conference champions. In her very first professional game. Read that again. 8 assists and 0 turnovers from a rookie point guard making her debut on the road against a championship-caliber defense. That is not a lucky performance. That is not a fluke. That is a player who clearly understands how to run a fast-paced offensive system, make the right read under pressure, and distribute the ball to playmakers without ever putting the team in a bad spot. The coast-to-coast drives were confident. The decision-making in transition was surgical. When the offense hit a lull in the second quarter and the Liberty started pressing back, Johnson was the one who stepped up and forced the issue. She didn't wait for the game to come to her. She took it. And the numbers reflected exactly that. While the conversation naturally gravitates toward Clark and Johnson, the rest of this roster made an equally strong statement yesterday. And it started with Kelsey Mitchell, who was absolutely dominant from start to finish. Mitchell finished with 18 points on 7 of 12 shooting and posted a staggering +20 plus-minus rating. That is not a secondary contributor having a nice game. That is a primary weapon operating at full force, creating her own shot against elite defenders and making the right play every single time the defense collapsed. Her performance set the tone for everything that followed. Shatori Walker-Kimbrough matched that output with 18 points of her own off the bench, giving the Fever a second scoring punch that the Liberty simply couldn't account for. Michaela Timpson was perfect from the field and posted a +16 rating, dominating inside in stretches. And then there was Sophie Cunningham, who was returning from a torn MCL and looked like she had never missed a single day. Cunningham went 5 for 8 from the field, hit 3 consecutive three-pointers from deep, and finished with 13 points in a starting role she stepped into without any hesitation. For a player who missed significant time with a serious knee injury, that level of sharpness and confidence is remarkable. And Justine Pensot, fighting for her roster spot in just over 10 minutes of action, went 2 for 4 and posted a +6 rating. 8 players scored 6 or more points against a championship defense. That kind of balance doesn't happen by accident. Stephanie White was honest about expectations coming into this preseason opener. 5 days of practice, she said, was nowhere near enough time to build the kind of chemistry this roster needs to reach its ceiling. She wasn't wrong. The second quarter showed visible signs of that, with the offense stalling and the Liberty briefly threatening to make it a game. But here is what makes yesterday's result so compelling. Even with the lulls, even with the rust, even with 4 rotation players watching from the sideline, the system worked. The hyperspeed transition offense that White has been building created genuine problems for New York all night. 8 different players scored 6 or more points. The ball moved. The pace was relentless. And when individual shot-making dipped, the overall structure held everything together. That is exactly what a well-designed offensive system is supposed to do. It protects you on the nights when your stars aren't at their sharpest. It distributes the burden across the roster so that no single cold shooting night becomes a team-wide collapse. Yesterday was a real-time demonstration of that principle working exactly as intended. Now imagine what this offense looks like when Clark is fully locked in, when Boston is setting screens in the post, when Hull is spacing the floor on the perimeter, when the team has 3 weeks of practice reps and actual game film to work from. The version of this Fever team that showed up yesterday was already dangerous. The fully healthy version is a completely different conversation. Here is where things stand after one preseason game. The Fever are 18 points better than the defending Eastern Conference champions, even shorthanded. The supporting cast delivered in a major way. Raven Johnson answered every single doubt in 17 minutes. And the system Stephanie White has been building showed genuine, undeniable promise. The back brace situation is something to watch closely, and the next 48 hours of medical updates will matter. But one visible precautionary wrap does not erase a dominant road win or 9 months of disciplined recovery work. April 30th is coming fast. Paige Buchers and Azzi Fudd are heading to Indianapolis, and that game will tell us significantly more about where this team actually stands. But after yesterday, one thing is already clear. When this Indiana Fever roster is fully healthy and fully locked in, the rest of this league has a serious problem on their hands. Stay locked with my channel Simply Explained for more WNBA updates.